The rain hammered the tin roof of our Brooklyn brownstone like it was trying to drown out the truth exploding between us. Sean's eyes, those damn blue eyes I'd watched change from wide innocence to shadowed secrets, locked onto mine, his lips parting with words that shattered the only family I'd ever known. Arthur, I've lied to you my whole life. I'm not who you think I am. And then, in the thunderclap silence that followed, he stepped closer, his breath ragged, and whispered the one confession that cut deeper than any betrayal. I love you, not like a son, but like a man who's been starving for you since he could understand desire. I staggered back, my coffee mug slipping from numb fingers, shattering on the scarred oak floorboards we'd refinished together after his mom died. 20 years. That's how long I'd poured every ounce of my broken heart into raising Sean. Ever since that crisp October day when Lorraine handed me her squalling newborn at the hospital, her chemo-ravaged body already giving up the fight. He's yours now, Art, she'd gasped, her grip weak but fierce. Family's what you make it. I nodded, throat tight, because back then, family was all I had left after my own folks cut me off for being gay in a world that still whispered freak behind my back. Sean became my anchor, my kid, my everything, through scraped knees and school plays, through my endless string of dead-end mechanic jobs and the nights I'd cry into my pillow over men who vanished like smoke. But now, 38, with crow's feet carving canyons around my eyes and grease permanently etched under my nails, here he was, 6 feet of lean muscle and quiet fire, unraveling it all in our cramped kitchen that smelled of yesterday's meatloaf and fresh betrayal. What the hell do you mean? You're not who I think, I growled, my voice cracking like the thunder outside. Sean's face crumpled, rain from his soaked jacket pooling at his feet. He'd burst in from the storm without knocking, like he used to as a teen. The DNA test, he said, pulling a crumpled printout from his pocket. The ink smudged but the results screaming in black and white. I did it on a whim, after that ancestry kick everyone's on. Lorraine. She wasn't my mom. You're not my dad. The paper trembled in his hand as he thrust it toward me, but I couldn't look. Not yet. My mind reeled back to that hospital room, the sterile beep of machines, Lorraine's wild red hair matted with sweat as she pushed him into the world. She'd been my best friend since we were kids dodging stones from bigots in our Queens neighborhood. 2 outcasts. Her for her firebrand feminism, me for loving the wrong way. When cancer clawed into her at 22, she made me promise. Raise him, love him fierce, show him the world doesn't have to break you. And I had. Diapers at dawn, little league cheers under floodlights, teaching him to fix a carburetor with hands that mirrored mine. Calloused, steady. Sean had grown into this, a graphic designer with a loft in Williamsburg, tattoos snaking up his arms like the subway lines we rode together, laughing over falafel trucks. But always, there was that undercurrent, those stolen glances I'd chalk up to fatherly pride, the way he'd linger too long in hugs after a bad breakup. Lorraine switched me, he continued, his voice a raw scrape. She knew her real baby was gonna die with her, some genetic curse the doctors whispered about. So she took me from the nursery next door. A boy born to straight-laced Catholics who wouldn't have understood if they'd known their kid was like us, like us. The words hung there, electric. I'd never hidden my sexuality from him. Hell, we'd marched in pride parades, arm in arm, him waving a rainbow flag higher than mine. But this twisted the knife. Impostor. The word echoed in my skull, A betrayal not just of blood, but of the soul I'd woven around him. I sank into a chair, the wood groaning under me like it felt the weight too. Why now, Sean? After all this time, he knelt before me, water dripping from his curls onto my jeans, his hands gripping my knees like lifelines. Because I can't pretend anymore. The test freed me, but it also broke me. Art, knowing I'm not your blood, it let me see you clear. Not as dad, but as the man who's haunted every dream, every touch I've chased in other guys who never measured up. His eyes brimmed, spilling over, and I hated how my chest ached. Not with revulsion, but with a forbidden echo I'd buried deep. God, no. This was Sean. My Sean. The boy who'd fallen asleep on my chest during thunderstorms, who I'd bandaged after bar fights defending family honor. The storm raged on, lightning fracturing the window panes, but inside, a different tempest brewed. I pulled him up, rougher than I meant, our faces inches apart, his stubble rasping against mine as I searched for the kid I knew. You think this changes nothing? It changes everything. You hear me? You're still the closest thing to family I've got. But this love you're talking, it's poison. He didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned in, his lips brushing mine in a ghost of a kiss, tasting of rain and regret. Then poison me, Arthur. We've been dying slow already. That night blurred into a haze of whiskey and whispers. The DNA paper crumpled on the floor like discarded skin. We didn't sleep. Sean spilled it all. The anonymous forum where he'd traced the switch, the guilt that had gnawed him since Lorraine's letters surfaced in her attic trunk, yellowed confessions she'd never mailed. She did it for love, he said, voice slurring as the bottle passed between us. For you, Art. Said you deserved a son who wouldn't shatter like hers would. I laughed, bitter, the sound bouncing off the walls lined with our photos. Sean embraces grinning toothless, us at his high school graduation, my arm slung proud around his shoulders. Lies, all of it, built on a mother's desperate theft. By dawn, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and Sean was curled on the couch, his head in my lap, breathing even in exhausted surrender. I stroked his hair, the same thick waves I'd tousled since he was 5, and felt the damn crack inside me. 20 years of unconditional love didn't vanish with a lab report. But this new current, this pull that made my pulse thunder, terrified me. What if I gave in, and it devoured us both? Or worse, what if I turned him away, and lost the only home I'd ever built? The days that followed were a tightrope walk over an abyss. Sean didn't leave. He called in sick to his design firm, mirroring my own half-day at the garage where I stared at engines like they held answers. We cooked breakfasts in silence, the sizzle of eggs masking the unspoken. Pass the salt, he'd say, our fingers brushing, sparks igniting despite the chill. I caught him watching me, over the sports section, while I scrubbed pots, his gaze hungry, unashamed. And damn it, I watched back, tracing the line of his jaw. The tattoo of a compass rose on his forearm that I'd inked myself one drunken night, joking about finding true north. But the conflict simmered, boiling over in fragments. One evening, as we walked the pier under the Brooklyn Bridge, our old haunt, where I'd taught him to skip stones, he grabbed my hand. Don't pull away, he pleaded when I tensed. This isn't wrong. This is finally honest. Tourists milled around, oblivious, but I felt their eyes like judgments from ghosts of my youth. The father who'd called me an abomination, The lovers who'd fled when things got real. Society's one thing, I muttered, yanking free. But blood, fake or not, it's the line we don't cross. He whirled on me, face stormy. Blood? That's your excuse? You've spent years telling me love doesn't need permission. Was that all bullshit? No, it wasn't. That's what gutted me. Arthur Malone, 40 if I admitted it, self-taught philosopher of the marginalized, preaching acceptance from the pulpit of our grease-stained kitchen table. I dragged Sean to vigils for AIDS victims in the 90s, held him through his first crush on a boy at summer camp, assured him that queerness was power, not shame. Yet here I was, betraying my own gospel because the mirror reflected too close. That night, alone in my room, I unearthed Lorraine's letters from the box under my bed. Her scrawl danced across pages. Artie, he's perfect for you, strong like his bio dad, but with my fight. Don't let the world steal his light. Love him like I couldn't. Tears blurred the ink. She'd stolen a child to give me one, an act of radical grace in a cruel world. And now, that gift was demanding more, demanding I rewrite the rules. The betrayal hit its first real crescendo 2 weeks later, on a sweltering July afternoon that smelled of hot asphalt and distant ocean salt. I'd taken the day off, claiming a family emergency, to the boss who nodded sympathetically, clueless to the irony. Sean and I drove out to Coney Island, the old Cyclone roller coaster looming like a rusted promise of thrills we chased as kids. Remember when you barfed cotton candy all over my sneakers? I teased, trying to claw back normalcy as we parked the battered Ford pickup. My pride and joy, rebuilt from scrap with his help. He laughed, but it was hollow, his hand lingering on the gearshift too long. Yeah, and you called it my baptism by boardwalk. We wandered the sands, dodging sunburned families and vendors hawking glow sticks, the Atlantic crashing like applause for our unspoken drama. For a moment, it worked, the salt air scouring away the tension, Sean's shoulder bumping mine as we shared a Nathan's hot dog, mustard dripping like lazy tears. But then, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruised purples, he stopped by the water's edge, waves lapping his sneakers. Arthur, I need to tell you the rest. His voice cut through the surf's roar, steady but laced with dread. I froze, heart slamming. The bio parents. They're alive. In Ohio. The test kit linked me to them, straight arrow types. Church every Sunday. 3 other kids now. He pulled out his phone. A string of unread messages glowing. Is this really you? We've prayed for this miracle. My stomach twisted. Not just an impostor, a living ghost to someone else's story. Why didn't you say? I demanded, sand shifting under my feet like unstable ground. Sean met my gaze, unflinching. Because it would have ended us. You'd ship me off to them, play the noble guardian returning lost property. The accusation stung, but truth hid in it. I'd already lain awake plotting calls to social workers, ways to do right by strangers who'd unknowingly gifted me my son. And the love part? Pressed, voice low as a couple strolled past, arms linked. That started before the test. When I was 25, crashing on your couch after that asshole ex trashed my place. You held me, Art, all night. Your heartbeat. It rewired me. I remembered that night, Sean, shattered by a boyfriend's ghosting, pounding on my door at 2 a.m., eyes wild. I'd brewed tea, let him ramble about feeling broken inside, my arm around him on the couch until dawn. Fatherly comfort, I told myself. But now, replaying it, I felt the ghost of his body against mine, warm, yielding, electric. Sean, stop. My words came out choked, the ocean mocking us with its endless pull. He didn't. Stepping into the shallow surf, he cupped my face, thumbs tracing my stubble. Feel this. It's real. We've been dancing around it since I hit puberty and started seeing you. Not Dad, but the man who could break me open. The kiss came fierce, salt-lipped and desperate, his hands fisting my shirt as waves soaked our jeans. For 3 heartbeats, I drowned in it, the taste of him like forbidden fruit, sweet and sharp, awakening a hunger I'd starved for years. My fingers tangled in his wet hair, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the heat of his mouth, the crash of surf echoing my pulse. But then reality clawed back, a kid's laughter nearby, the weight of 2 decades crashing down. I shoved him away, gasping. Jesus, Sean. We're in public. And Christ, even if we weren't, you coward, he spat, hurt flashing like lightning. Hiding behind family when it's just fear, he stormed off toward the boardwalk, leaving me knee-deep in water, chest heaving. I chased him, grabbing his arm under the cyclone's shadow. It's not fear of you. It's fear of losing you. If we cross this, and it burns, what's left? His eyes, stormy as the gathering clouds, softened fractionally. Then we burn together. Better than this half-life. We drove home in silence, the radio crooning Springsteen, Thunder Road, our anthem, irony thick as humidity. That night, the conflict escalated. Sean packed a duffel, muttering about crashing with a friend in the city. Space, he said, avoiding my eyes. Before I beg you to hate me less, panic surged, hot and irrational. Don't. Please. The plea escaped before pride could cage it. He paused, bag half-zipped, and in that suspended moment, the dam broke. I crossed the room, pulling him into an embrace that blurred lines, arms tight, breaths mingling, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long denied. It wasn't gentle. Anger fueled it, years of suppressed longing erupting in tangled sheets and gasped names. His skin under my hands felt like coming home and exile all at once. Familiar curves from backyard wrestling matches now mapped with adult intent. Arthur. He moaned as I traced the tattoo I'd given him, lips following fingers down his spine. We moved like a storm, raw and uncharted, his nails raking my back, my teeth grazing his shoulder, marks of possession and pain. Afterward, slick and spent, we lay staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, the air heavy with sweat and what-ifs. This doesn't fix the DNA shit, I whispered, tracing circles on his chest. Sean turned, propping on an elbow, his smile wry. Nothing fixes it. But it makes it ours. For a week, we stole paradise in stolen hours. Mornings tangled in my bed, evenings cooking pasta with wine-fueled confessions. He showed me his sketches, portraits of us, intertwined in ways I'd never dared imagine. I opened up about my own ghosts, the Navy discharge for conduct unbecoming, the lover who'd OD'd in '98, leaving me hollow. You filled it, I admitted one dawn, as gulls cried outside. Even before this, but paradise is fragile, and betrayal's shadow loomed. Sean's phone buzzed incessantly, those Ohio messages escalating to voicemails. Son, We need to meet. God has a plan. Guilt gnawed him. I saw it in the way he'd flinch at mirrors, questioning his reflection. What if they want me back? He asked one night, voice small. The real family. I pulled him close, fierce. You are real. Here. With me. But doubt festered, a crack widening. The climax shattered on a crisp September evening, leaves turning gold in Prospect Park. We'd gone for a walk, hands brushing tentatively in the fading light, still navigating this new us, tender and terrifying. Sean stopped by the lake, face pale. I called them. The words landed like a gut punch. Not to go, just to hear their voices. My bio sister answered. She's excited. Said they never stopped searching. My blood ran cold. And I told her about you. About us. He swallowed hard. She called it unnatural. Said to come home. Get straightened out before it's too late. The judgment echoed my father's venom, and rage boiled up. Fuck them. You're not property to reclaim. But Sean shook his head, tears carving tracks. It's not that simple. Art. They have my blood. Pictures. Stories, a life I could have had. And this, he gestured between us, voice breaking. It's beautiful, but it's built on a lie. Lorraine stole me. What if I'm just stolen goods? The argument exploded. Words like shrapnel. Me accusing him of cowardice. Him hurling back my hypocrisy. Preaching love while clinging to right and wrong. You raised me to fight for truth, he yelled, drawing stares from joggers. Now you're scared of the ones staring us down. I grabbed his shoulders, shaking. Truth is, I love you. God help me. More than family, more than sense. But if you go chasing ghosts, you'll tear us apart. He wrenched free, eyes wild. Maybe that's the mercy. He left that night, duffel in hand again, hailing a cab to his loft. I didn't stop him, pride and pain warring. Days blurred into a numb routine. Work, whiskey, staring at the empty chair across the table. Sean's texts came sporadic. Miss you. Thinking. Each a hook in my gut. Then silence. A week later, a knock shattered the quiet. Not Sean, but a stranger. A private investigator. Badge glinting. Mr. Malone, Ohio PD. We're looking into a custody claim. Your son? He's filed for contact with his biologicals. Betrayal, pure and scalding. Sean hadn't just left. He'd reported us, dragging authorities into our mess to make it legal, to sever ties clean. I slammed the door, chest caving, the brownstone echoing with ghosts. How could he, after everything, the confessions, the nights we'd mapped each other's scars? I drove to his loft, pounding until he opened, disheveled in sweats. You sicked cops on us? I roared, shoving inside. The place reeked of takeout and despair. Sketches crumpled on the floor. Not on us, on the truth, he defended, voice cracking. I can't build on theft. Art is poisoning everything. We circled like wounded animals, accusations flying. My possessiveness, his abandonment. You think love erases lies? He cried. It doesn't. It amplifies them. In the fray, I saw it, the fear mirroring mine, the love tangled in shame. I lunged, not in anger, but need, crashing our mouths together. He resisted a beat, then melted, the fight dissolving into frantic reunion. Clothes shed in the hallway, bodies colliding on the rug amid scattered pencils. This time, it was catharsis, slow and searing, whispers weaving through moans. Stay. Fight. Love. Dawn found us bruised but bound, his head on my chest. I called it off, he murmured. The PI, the claim. Told them I'm home, here, with you. Relief flooded, but the scar remained. We danced too close to the edge. Autumn deepened, turning Brooklyn's streets into a mosaic of amber and rust. But our fragile peace felt like glass underfoot. One wrong step, and it'd shatter. Sean and I rebuilt in whispers and touches, navigating the minefield of our redefined bond. Mornings became rituals. Him sketching at the kitchen table while I brewed coffee strong enough to wake the dead, our feet tangling under the formica top. Pass the cream, I'd say, and he'd slide it over with a wink that still sent heat coiling low in my belly. Evenings, we'd walk the neighborhood, hands brushing in shadowed alleys, stealing kisses like teenagers under the L tracks rumbling overhead. Yet the impostor shadow lingered, a third wheel in our bed. Sean's bio family didn't vanish. Letters arrived, postmarked from Dayton, handwritten pleas from a mother named Evelyn. Dear Sean, we've dreamed of this. Your room's just as we imagined. Blue walls and a baseball mitt on the shelf. He read them aloud some nights, voice steady but eyes distant, like peering through fogged glass. She sounds kind, he'd say, folding the paper neat. I'd nod, jaw tight, fighting the jealousy gnawing my ribs. Kind? What did that matter when they'd never bandaged his knees or cheered his first design gig? You're not replacing me? I finally snapped one crisp November eve, as sleet tapped the windows like impatient fingers. We were on the couch, a forgotten pizza box between us, some Netflix dramedy flickering ignored. Sean set down his slice, sauce staining his thumb. Art is not replacement. Curiosity. Like finally seeing the other side of the moon. His hand found mine, thumb tracing my knuckles, a gesture so tender it disarmed. You're my gravity. Always. I pulled him across the cushions, burying my face in his neck, inhaling the mix of his citrus shampoo and the faint ink from his latest project. Then why do I feel like I'm auditioning for my own life? He laughed soft, the sound vibrating against my chest, and shifted to straddle me, knees bracketing my hips. Because you're a stubborn Irish mule who thinks love's a zero-sum game. His lips ghosted mine, teasing, before deepening into something that erased the room, the taste of pepperoni and promise, hands roaming under shirts to map familiar terrain. We made love there, slow and deliberate, the TV's glow casting us in blue hues like a private film reel. Afterward, sated and sticky, he traced the faded scar on my collarbone, from a bar brawl defending his honor at 18. This, he murmured, this is family. Blood's just ink on paper, but words are wind, and doubt's a persistent gale. The real conflict reignited mid-December, holiday lights twinkling like false stars in the brownstone's bay window. Sean had been quieter, sketches piling up unfinished. His phone buzzing with a new number. Evelyn. Just talking, he assured when I eyed it. Boundaries. You know? No visits. I trusted mostly, but trust is a muscle, atrophied from years of loss. Then, on the solstice, he vanished. I came home from a double shift at the garage, knuckles raw from wrestling a seized piston, to an empty house. No note, No text, just his keys on the hook. Jacket gone. Panic clawed up my throat. Visions flashing. Accident on the BQE. Or worse, him bolting to Ohio for Christmas with the real folks. Paste. Dialing until voicemail mocked me. Hey, it's Sean. Leave a message. Where the fuck are you? I growled into the void. Then softer. Come home, kid. Please. Hours ticked by. Sleet turning to snow, blanketing the city in hush. At midnight, the door creaked open, admitting a snow-dusted ghost Sean, cheeks flushed, eyes red-rimmed. Art, he started, but I was on him, gripping his arms hard enough to bruise. You scared the shit out of me. Where? He deflated, shedding his coat like a skin. The bridge. Our spot. Needed to think. Relief warred with fury. I yanked him into a hug, then shoved back, searching his face. Think about what? Leaving? No! Hurt flashed. About us. About forgiving the lie. He pulled a manila envelope from his satchel, thick with documents. I drove to Jersey today. Met a lawyer quiet-like. Filed to legally change my name. Sean Malone. Yours. No hyphen. No qualifiers. I'm claiming it. Art. All of it. The words hung. A lifeline tossed across chasms. But then he faltered, envelope trembling. But Evelyn. She called. Invited me for New Year's. Said it's closure, not takeover. I said yes. Betrayal. Round two sharper. Because I'd tasted hope. You what? My voice boomed, echoing off tinsel-draped walls. After everything? You're jetting off to play happy family with strangers. Sean flinched but held ground. Fire in his blue eyes. Lorraine's fire. I'd always thought. But now? Whose? It's not playing. It's healing. For me. So I can be whole with you. Don't you get it? This imposter crap festers if I ignore it. I get it. I snarled, pacing to the window, snowflakes melting on the glass like my resolve. You're halfway out the door already. Next it'll be visits. Then summers with the biosibs. Then poof. I'm the eccentric uncle you visit at Thanksgiving. Hyperbole. Born of terror. But it landed. Sean's face crumpled. That's what you think of me? That I'm that fickle? He grabbed my arm, spinning me. I've loved you through every phase. Kid crush, teen angst, adult ache. This trip, the surgery, cutting out the rot. Come with me. The invitation stunned. A curveball in our at-bats. Me? March into their McMansion. Hand in hand with their stolen son? Yeah. That'll go over like a fart in church. He stepped closer, breath mingling with mine, warm against the chill seeping through panes. Exactly. Show them we're unbreakable. Or stay here, hating me for growing. The choice loomed, heavy as the snow piling outside. I pulled him flush, foreheads touching, our exhales sinking. I don't hate you, Sean. I hate this pull on you on us. His lips found mine. Soft plea, then urgent demand. Hands fisting my sweater as we stumbled toward the bedroom. That night was reclamation. Fierce, almost punitive. Bodies slamming like arguments unresolved. I pinned him to the mattress, growling possessives into his skin, mine. Stay. He arched, meeting every thrust with whispered vows. Always. Yours. Dawn crept in, gray and forgiving, finding us entwined, the envelope discarded like old skin. Okay, I rasped, voice wrecked. I'll go. But if they so much as blink wrong, he silenced me with a kiss, lazy and sure. They won't. Because you're my north. New Year's Eve dawned brittle. The drive to Ohio a gauntlet of interstates slick with salt and regret. Sean gripped the wheel white-knuckled. Radio low on classic rock. Dylan crooning tangled up in blue. Our private joke. I fiddled with the thermos of coffee, stealing glances at his profile. Jaw set, but a small smile playing when our knees bumped. Nervous? I asked, casual as I could muster. He nodded, eyes on the road. Yeah. Like meeting in-laws, but with felony undertones. Laughter bubbled, easing the knot in my chest. This was us defusing bombs with banter, forged in 20 years of fire. The house in Dayton was cookie-cutter suburbia, colonial revival, wreath on the door, minivan in the drive. Evelyn answered, mid-50s, peroxide blonde, eyes the same impossible blue as Sean's. You must be Sean, she breathed, hugging him tentative, then pulling back to appraise me. And Arthur, her smile wobbled, polite Midwestern mask cracking. Inside, the air hummed with potpourri and tension. A Christmas tree still up, photos of gap-toothed kids on the mantel, Sean's siblings, oblivious to the hole in their family portrait. Dinner was a minefield. Richard, the father, broad-shouldered accountant type, cleared his throat over turkey and fixings. We've processed the news. The switch. It's a miracle you're safe. His gaze flicked to me, waited. And grateful for your care. The pause hung, implying volumes. Sean squeezed my thigh under the table. Anchor in the storm. Arthur's more than care. He's family. Evelyn nodded too quick. Of course. We just never imagined. The subtext screamed. A gay uncle raising our boy? Unthinkable. Post-meal. The kids, teens now, awkward and curious, whisked Sean to the basement for video games, leaving me with the parents. Richard poured scotch, heavy-handed. Look, Arthur, we appreciate the years. But now that he's back, the word ignited. He's not back, he's here visiting. His life's in Brooklyn with me. Evelyn's hand fluttered to her throat. Visiting? Sean mentioned. Challenges. Adjusting to truth. Challenges. Code for us. Fury simmered, but I swallowed it, voice even. Truth's messy. But love, that's the constant. The evening fractured when Richard cornered Sean in the kitchen. Voices low but carrying. Son, this Arthur, he's been a guardian. Sure. But blood calls. And that lifestyle, it confused you young. I burst in, seeing red. Confused? I raised him honest. In a world that lies. You got no claim to judge. Chaos erupted, Evelyn gasping. Kids peeking from stairs. Sean whirled. Face thunderous. Dad, Richard, this is my life. Arthur's my love. End of story. He grabbed my hand, storming out into the night, snow swirling like confetti in defeat. We didn't stay for countdown. The drive back was silent salvation. Sean's head on my shoulder at red lights, my arm around him. I'm sorry, he whispered as Manhattan's glow welcomed us. They weren't ready. I kissed his temple, tasting salt. Fuck him. We are. Winter gripped New York like a jealous lover. Ice sheathing fire escapes and turning breaths to ghosts in the air. Back in the brownstone, Sean and I thawed our wounds with deliberate tenderness. Hot baths drawn with Epsom salts. His fingers kneading knots from my shoulders while jazz crackled on the old record player. Billie Holiday's husky ache mirrored our own. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places. We'd make love by candlelight, slow explorations that charted new territories. His laughter bubbling when I fumbled a tie, my groans when he hit that spot just right. You're stuck with me now, he'd tease, nipping my ear, and I'd pull him closer, murmuring, good. Wouldn't have it any other way, but healing's a crooked path, and Ohio's echo lingered. Sean's sketches turned introspective. Fractured self-portraits, half in shadow, half in light, with my silhouette anchoring the chaos. Art therapy, he quipped when I asked, but his eyes held depths I couldn't plumb. I threw myself into work, the garage's clang of wrenches a bomb, but nights brought dreams, nightmares of him vanishing into cornfields, leaving me rattling in an empty house. One February dawn, as slush pooled in gutters, he woke me with coffee and a proposition. Let's get away. Real away. Not Jersey lawyers or Midwest mansions, somewhere ours. The idea bloomed like spring's first crocus. We planned a road trip south, chasing warmth to Key West, America's edge, where queers had carved sanctuary from mangroves and memory. Packing was ritual. His duffel stuffed with teas and sketch pads, mine with tools for roadside fixes and a dog-eared Hemingway I'd pretend to read. To the man who knew love's a movable feast, Sean toasted as we loaded the truck, clinking travel mugs. Laughter came easier then, the highway unspooling like thread from a spool. Interstate 95 was our confessional, miles melting confessions. Over bad gas station burritos in Virginia, Sean admitted the call that had nearly broken us. After Ohio, I almost went back. Not for them for absolution. Thought if I played the prodigal, the guilt would lift. My knuckles whitened on the wheel. And he reached over, lacing fingers. Then I pictured waking without you. Empty, relief washed, warm as the sun climbing higher. We detoured through the Smokies, hiking trails where fog clung like secrets, stealing kisses under rhododendron blooms. This, he said, back against a boulder, my hands in his hair, this is the real switch. You stole my heart fair and square. Florida welcomed with humidity's embrace, the Keys a string of jewels on turquoise silk. Key West was fever dream, pastel conch houses, roosters strutting like kings, Duval Street pulsing with drag shows and daiquiris. We rented a cottage by the water, rickety porch swing, ceiling fan whirring lazy, our first home as lovers, not guardians. Days blurred into bliss, snorkeling reefs where fish darted like shooting stars, him sketching me amid coral nudes, nights on the porch, stars thick as spilled milk, bodies entwined to the lull of waves. Marry me? I blurted one moonlit eve, half joking, a conch shell clutched like a ring. Sean's eyes widened, then softened. Hell yes. Paper or not, I'm yours. But paradise whispers warnings, and conflict brewed subtle, a letter forwarded from Brooklyn, Evelyn's script elegant on creamstock, Sean, darling, Richard and I attended PFLAG last month. Learning. We'd love another chance. Bring Arthur. He read it aloud over breakfast conch fritters. Voice neutral, but tension coiled in his shoulders. They're trying, he said, folding it away. I speared a shrimp, jaw tight. Trying's cheap. Actions count. He nodded, but doubt flickered, a spark that could ignite. The climax crashed on Valentine's, not with roses but reckoning. We'd planned a sunset cruise, champagne fizzing as the captain spun yarns of Hemingway's brawls. But midway, Sean's phone trilled, insistent, Evelyn's ringtone he'd assigned in weak mercy. He answered, face draining as voices overlapped, her frantic, then Richard's boom. What? Sean gasped, hand flying to his mouth. I caught fragments, accident. Your sister. Hospital. Come now. The world tilted. Champagne sloshed forgotten. We're coming, he choked, hanging up, eyes wild on mine. Lila, my bio-sister. Car wreck. Critical. The flight north was purgatory. Cramped seats. His knee bouncing endless. My arm his anchor. She asked for me, he whispered, head on my shoulder. In the ambulance. Said she always felt a hole. Guilt twisted him. I saw it, the impostor's curse rearing. At the Dayton ICU, fluorescent hell, Evelyn collapsed into him, sobbing. She held on for you. Richard hovered, subdued, offering a handshake that lingered, grudging respect. We waited in vinyl chairs, coffee bitter as regret. Sean's hand in mine drawing stares from nurses who pretended not to see. Lila emerged from surgery at dawn. 22. Dark-haired echo of Sean. Tubes snaking like accusations. Awake but weak. She beckoned him close. Knew you were out there, she rasped, voice a thread. Stories from Mom. Blue-eyed brother stolen by angels. Sean broke then, tears streaming as he stroked her hand. I'm here. I stood sentinel, throat tight, Evelyn's grateful glance my first thaw. Thank you, she mouthed. Hours later, as Lila slept, Richard pulled me aside in the cafeteria, styrofoam cups steaming. I was wrong. About you. About everything. Sean's lucky. The words landed soft. A bridge extended. Luck's mutual, I replied, voice gruff. Back in the room, Sean curled into me on the fold-out couch. Hospital beeps our lullaby. Family's weird, he murmured. But this? It's enough. We stayed a week. Vigil turning to vigilante. Me fixing Richard's ancient Chevy in the hospital lot. Sean sketching Lila's portrait for her wall. Evelyn baked pies. Tentative overtures. Conversations skirted edges, but mended seams. Return to Brooklyn was rebirth. Spring edging winter's grip. Crocuses defiant in cracked sidewalks. The brownstone welcomed with dust motes dancing in sunbeams. Our bed a sanctuary. That night, we celebrated take-out lobster rolls. Wine uncorked with toasts to holes filled. Not stolen. Lovemaking was sacrament. Reverent touches tracing scars. Mine from fights. His from doubts. Culminating in shared release. Breaths sinking like heartbeats. I choose you, he vowed after. Fingers laced. Every time, yet humanism's hue tempers joy with shadow. Sean's ties to Ohio wove loose but enduring monthly calls. A sister's birthday card. Chafed sometimes, my old jealousies flaring like embers, but he'd pull me close, whispering, room for all. Love expands, and it did, stretching to include ghosts made flesh, lies transmuted to lore. Summer hummed in, alive with possibility. We adopted a mutt from the shelter, ragged terrier mix Sean named Truth, who slept between us like a furry referee. Pride that year. We marched not arm in arm but hand in hand, rainbows fluttering proud. Lorraine's ghost smiled from photos, her radical act of foundation, not fracture. One August dusk. On Coney's sands, waves whispering forgiveness, I dropped to one knee, conch shell polished to pearl. Sean Malone, impostor or not, you're my forever. Marry me? He tackled me laughing, sand flying. Yes, you sentimental grease monkey. Cheers erupted from nearby sunbathers. The ocean applauded. Our wedding was small. Brownstone backyard. Drag queen efficient belting at last. Ohio kin mingling with Brooklyn crew. Evelyn dabbing tears. Richard clapping my back. Vows exchanged under string lights. In truths told and untold. I choose you. The kiss sealed it. Deep. Unapologetic. 20 years distilled to this. Life unfolded human. Imperfect. Arguments over dishes. Sean's freelance dry spells met with my overtime. Truth's chewed slippers. But love, it rooted deep. Humanistic bloom from stolen seed. Sean sketched our story, graphic novel pitch. Impostor's heart. Pages of us. Raw and real. For the queers who build family from ruins, he said. And in quiet moments, his head on my chest, I'd whisper thanks to Lorraine's spirit. You gave me everything. No imposters here. Just us. Whole. Years folded like well-worn maps. Each crease a memory etched deeper. By 45, the brownstone had shed its ghosts for new layers. Sean's studio in the attic. Sunlight slanting through skylights onto canvases alive with color. My garage corner upgraded to a workbench shrine. Tools alphabetized in Sean's OCD flair. Truth had grayed at the muzzle. His snores a metronome to our evenings. Wine on the porch. Fireflies winking approval as we dissected the day's banalities. A client's nightmare brief. A transmission that fought back like a demon. Our marriage. Legal since Obergefell but sacred long before. Weathered storms with practiced grace. Anniversaries marked milestones. Key West for 5. A tattoo refresh for 10. Interlocking compasses on our forearms. North arrows entwined. Ohio visits normalized. Awkwardness mellowing to ritual. Evelyn's pies improved. Richard and I bonding over March Madness brackets. Lila, fully recovered. A Spitfire artist like her brother. Crashing our couch for NYC jaunts. Blood's overrated. She'd tease. Hugging me fierce. You're the upgrade. But life's humanism demands balance. Joy laced with ache. Sean's imposter scar surfaced in waves. A DNA follow-up ad triggering panic attacks. Nights he'd wake gasping. Convinced he'd dissolve like mist. I'd hold him then. Murmuring mantras from our early days. You're solid. Here. Mine. Therapy helped. Joint sessions with a queer elder who chain-smoked menthols and called us beautiful wrecks. Betrayals the fertilizer, she'd say. Exhaling wisdom. Grows the strongest roots. Conflict revisited subtly. A serpent in Eden. 50. Retirement loomed. The garage sold to a kid with fresh tattoos and dreams. I fretted idleness. Hands itching for wrenches. But Sean plotted reinvention. A food truck venture. Malone's Mobile Eats. Greasy spoons with a twist. Rainbow flags snapping proud. Launch night in Williamsburg. Hipsters queued for my sliders. Sean slinging craft beers with flair. Pride swelled. But so did envy. A whisper, he's flying. I'm ballast. Peeked over a spilled tray. suds soaking my sneakers. You don't need me anymore, I grumbled, mopping half-hearted. Sean paused. Apron askew, eyes narrowing. Bullshit. This, he gestured the bustle. It's us. Your recipes, my hustle, but doubt festered, climaxing in a blowout after closing. Truck parked crooked, us arguing under sodium lamps. You're bored. Admit it, he accused, voice raw. Raising me was your purpose. Now I'm grown, and you're adrift. The old wound gaped. Impostor flipped. Was I the relic, holding him back? Maybe you should have stayed in Ohio, I shot, venom born of fear. Played straight-laced with the fam that fits. He reeled, face ashen. That's low, Art. Even for you. Silence stretched, brutal, until he grabbed his keys. I'll crash at Lila's. Sort your head. The truck's taillights faded, leaving me with cooling grease and regret's aftertaste. Days dragged. Empty bed. Truth's mournful whines. Sean's texts curt fine. Working. I drowned in what-ifs, calling Evelyn for advice. Men, she chuckled, voice warm. Stubborn as mules. But love, it circles back. Did, on a rain-lashed Thursday, him bursting through the door, soaked and furious. You're an idiot, he declared, slamming a sketchpad down. Pages of me, wrench in hand, laughing over engine guts, porch swing naps. My muse. My anchor. Without you, it's noise, across the room, pulling him into the deluge of his jacket. Scared I'd fade, I confessed, lips to his temple. Like Lorraine's letters yellowed, forgotten, he cupped my face, thumbs fierce. Never. You're etched. Reunion was fire, kitchen counter collision. Clothes shed hasty, his growl against my neck. Idiot. Mine. We laughed through gasps, rediscovering urgency, bodies a testament to endurance. After, wrapped in towels, he flipped the pad. Our story, book 2. For the truck, but really for us. Pages chronicled the fight, raw lines healing wounds. Humanism bloomed fuller then. We mentored, Sean teaching art at the LGBTQ Center, me wrenching on donated beaters for shelter kids. Lila visited often, her wedding a hybrid affair, Dayton church for the olds, Brooklyn reception with drag toasts. To stolen hearts returned, she clinked, winking. Grandkids came later, hers first, a towhead boy with Sean's eyes, toddling into our arms. Uncle Artie, he'd crow, grease smeared from my lap. Sean'd watch, soft, whispering, we made this mosaic. Ake visited too. Truths passing at 15. Buried under the oak weed planted post-wedding. His paw print in concrete eternal. Cancer nipped at Evelyn, but she fought Lorraine style. Us flying mid-treatment for her 60th. Hospital room festooned with balloons. Her laugh defiant. Stole the best kid, she winked at Sean. Kept the best man. Richard softened fully, outing his own buried youth, a college fling hushed by Ira's whip. Wish I'd your guts, he told me over hospice chess. Forgiveness flowed, a river carving canyons. 60. We sold the truck, profitable but knees protesting the stands. Retirement was road triple redux, RV rumbling west, chasing sunsets from Badlands to Big Sur. Sean's sketches filled journals, mine a scrapbook of napkins with diner doodles. One Nevada night, under Milky Way sprawl, He turned nostalgic. 20 years ago, that confession, thought it'd end us. I pulled him close, stars reflecting in his silvered hair. Began us. Proper. The end came gentle, as humanism wills. A heart stutter in autumn's gold. Me first, garage tinkering. Sean sketching nearby. He found me slumped, tool in hand, smile faint. Panic, then grace, holding me as paramedics swarmed. His whisper fierce, not yet. Love you. But I slipped easy, Lorraine waiting in light. Sean mourned loud. Vigils at the center, toasts with our mugs at Coney. Ohiokin rallied, Lila curating a memorial show, his portraits of us, captioned Impostor's oath, to love without claim. He lived to 78, pen never idle, letters to grandkids weaving our tale. Families not born, it's chosen, stolen, fought for. His passing echoed mine. Bedside, sketchpad open to our last portrait, intertwined under bridge lights, titled True North. Brooklyn buried him beside truth, under the oak now vast. Epitaph shared, loved fiercely. No regrets. And in the brownstone's hush, ghosts linger kind. Lorraine's laugh in wind chimes, our hands forever laced in memory's palm. Human, whole, eternal.